in any business, capital is finite, and if you're not making money, you're losing money. You have business today, you have to be worried about future business, because otherwise, in the future, you're gonna fall flat. This weekend alone, I think, between the three parties, we made about $5,000, $6,000 just from the bar alone. Depending who you ask, for me, this is like the best weekend I've had.
It could be something that can stay consistent, or do you think it's just like a random spike that's come up?
Once you establish that brand, definitely you can hold it. I had to deny like 5 different inquiries for the same Saturday because nobody else wanted to move their booking. They all wanted that Saturday. I'm like, I'm sorry, I've already been booked for like a month now. You can market like crazy, but if you can't deliver, eventually you're gonna be known as the guy that like can't deliver what he promises, and then your name and reputation falls apart too. So my name is Harveer Butter. I'm the owner and operator of Heritage India Restaurant here at downtown Brampton, 485 Main Street North. I took over this restaurant last year in November from the previous owner, and we have been working on increasing the sales and parties of this restaurant, and so far, huge success, bringing back the beauty of this building. The building itself has a lot of history. It's been a restaurant, a fine dining restaurant in the heart of Brampton for over 40 years now. And so we want to make sure we keep up to that standard, even though now instead of Italian American, we're doing Indian food. The growing, I guess you could say, well, you could say trend of people wanting to do parties at restaurants is growing, and we're definitely fulfilling that need with the help of Gurveer and his team at Certus AI. We're definitely able to connect with more clients, and again, the response is very good. Everybody's very happy with what we're delivering.
Awesome, man. I mean, just to give a little bit of insight, are you a previous restaurant owner, or is this your first restaurant? How did you, I mean, are you kind of like a seasoned person, or is this a new venture for you for when you started it like last year?
Yeah, definitely not seasoned by any means. This is my first restaurant, and some may say I jumped straight to the deep end, as if restaurant industry isn't hard enough as it is. But it's okay, we took the risk. You know, you learn as you go, but of course you have to make very calculated moves, because in this industry, especially in any business, capital is finite, and if you're not making money, you're losing money. So you have to be very calculated. Yes, we're learning as we go, but we have to make sure we're also profitable while, you know, serving the public. But my background actually is from culinary. I was not a chef, but I was a sous chef at many Italian restaurants. Since the age of 18, even in high school, I was doing hospitality programs, always acing every course because it was the only course I genuinely had a passion for. Every other class, like accounting, science I liked, but accounting, I hated accounting. But now as a business owner, it's come full circle, and I realized, maybe I should have paid attention back in high school, because that's the kind of stuff I do need to know now. And now it's hitting me back, and I have to catch up on that side of business.
That's awesome. I mean, I think the one thing that you said there, which is you know, you were acing the culinary classes because you had a passion for it, and I think when you can, you know, you can wake up and you're doing a business that you genuinely enjoy, you have a team that you enjoy, but more importantly, there is like this pre-stated passion towards it. It just makes things so much better, right? It allows you to push past like the harder times, and I think that's super important. And I kind of want to touch on to a little bit more about, you know, yourself and the way that you're leading your team right now, because yesterday when we spoke about this in terms of, you know, how you mentioned that your team is there with you, you guys are all pushing towards this, and I thought that was something that a lot of people feel like they can't get right, you know, and I think that's something that, from what I've heard, you've been doing really, really well. So one thing I wanted to touch on, and this touches onto the events thing. So on the weekend, you had a really good weekend. We were talking about that. And in terms of the event size and the tickets as well, it was more so that it was the fact that we had events, and then on top of that, the bar as well, right? The open tab. Mm-hmm. Could you maybe discuss a little bit more about that and kind of talk about the face value price point of just a general ticket, but then also the fact that there is alcohol involved in these events that allows you to up the price just from the face value aspect of it?
Yeah, so for our restaurant in particular, and pretty much it's, I guess you could say industry standard, or like basically it's dictated in the area that like pretty much everybody charges roughly around $40 per person, which seems to be the standard even for like buffets. But, you know, I think we're delivering more than just which typical buffet restaurant is providing, you know, with private space, you know, a custom service, custom menus. So for us, it's also, because we're raising the bar and we're providing such a beautiful venue as well, you know, the prices should reflect that. So going forward, because again, I took it over from the previous owner, so for me, it's like taking time to develop my name and standard. because I don't want to be, known as the cheap guy ever, right? The prices must reflect what we're providing. So over time, like, we've already increased prices by 10%. I do suspect to do it another 10%, most likely by New Year's. But anyway, so like $45 plus gratuity, that's a good base. 50 people, 80 people party. You're making a rough $3,000, $5,000. But then it's the open bar that helps us increase our margins and increase the sales. So with the open bar, this weekend alone, I think between the three parties, we made about $5,000, $6,000 just from the bar alone. Depending who you ask, that's great, not great. I think for me personally, that was fantastic. For me, this was like the best weekend I've had, I think, since last year during Christmas time. So that's fantastic that we did that in September. Funny enough, I was actually going and calling up some banquet halls, and they're charging like $15 for unlimited bottle service, and they have a minimum head count of like 100 people. That's $15, 100 people. I'm like, you're only making $1,500, and you're just giving away booze for like 6 hours straight. I made more money off booze than a banquet hall did. Now, granted, they can host more people, so they make more money on the food. I guess that's their pricing structure. But for me, it's like, no, the bar is very critical. It's very important that we, use that.
No. Yeah. That's super cool. And I want to touch on that as well. And so with the events and the bar over the weekend, you said you did about 15, 16 grand. And I think the main thing that I wanted to mention is, I know you're saying it's like one of the better weekends that you've had since you started the restaurant, but do you think that it could be something that can stay consistent, or do you think it's just like a random spike that's come up?
That's a tough one. Honestly, I totally can see being consistent. Like once we hold that name, right? It's like an iPhone. Like once you establish that brand, definitely you can hold it. Of course you can.
Yeah.
But even with iPhone and any other product, like it has its seasons. And what I've noticed, and other people in the industry have told me too, it's like there's always one weekend out of every month that is the most stupid busy weekend that everybody wants to book. Like for this weekend alone, this Saturday, like, yeah, we did so much that day, but you also have to understand, I had to deny like 5 different inquiries for the same Saturday because nobody else wanted to move their booking. They all wanted that Saturday. I'm like, I'm sorry. I've already been booked for like a month now. I can't give you that Saturday. They're like, oh, well, let's go find something else. I'm like, well, if you don't and you still want to go with us, like, this day's available, that weekend's available. But it's just, I think it's like the Pareto distribution. It's like not every weekend's going to be your busiest weekend, but there's that one weekend out of the month, right? Or like how Saturday's the one day out of the week. That's the most busy week, a busy day, right? Versus all the other days. But I do think it's possible, right? With the right strategy, right plan, and then keeping up with that standard so people watch you. That's the biggest thing, right? Is like you can market like crazy, but if you can't deliver, eventually you're going to be known as the guy that like can't deliver what he promises, and then your name and reputation falls apart too, right?
Yeah, 100%. No, I think that's really, really important. And I think one thing that you mentioned about brand there is really cool, because I know you said we were talking about this as well, in terms of the ease at which people are wanting to come to your venue and paying a deposit or committing to you as your name goes out there, as you spread positive word of mouth, as your brand gets out there, is something that we want to continue to push. Like you're mentioning about those 2 deposits that you were able to get before someone tasted the food or over the phone, right? But it's not that it was just like a magic thing. It's more so that they've been seeing you around. More importantly, they can see your reviews, right? At the end of the day, like you said, you can't outmarket a shit product, right? There has to be a 50-50 distribution on each end. And so I think that's extremely important, is that with the continued demand, one thing that you're not slacking off on is the fulfillment. And I think that's absolutely amazing. Just to touch on a little bit more about that, because I know one of the things that we're continuing to talk about is more so like the future, right? Which is like, we know Q4, there's a lot more events, there's a lot more things that we want to target, and we know we can like, and this is like the time, if any restaurant wants to milk it, Q4 is always like a step above the rest. You were mentioning about how you tried different things in the past and those things didn't work. So how come you settled on events, and what was that like before?
Okay. Yeah. So pretty much, like I was working with 2 or 3 other quote unquote marketing agencies. Now I know better. I would never call them a marketing agency. Pretty much we were just shooting darts in the dark, right? We were like, oh, I gotta go dining, we gotta go takeout, we gotta do catering, and we gotta do parties, right? Mm-hmm. And one thing I learned about this being a private law is that, like any business, your niche is what makes you unique, right? And so I remember at the beginning, everybody told me, oh, you're in a bad location. You're in a bad location. That's why you're not doing well. You're just in a bad location. No one's ever going to come here. It's just hard to find. Yes, true, but not true. You know, one, we're not a bad location. I mean, there's a McDonald's across the street, and McDonald's is very calculated with how they open their franchise.
Absolutely.
Right? So 100% we're not in a bad location. We're in downtown Brampton, for God's sakes. Right?
Sure.
But we're hidden. We're hidden. So that's why our natural walk-in, we're hidden and we're a private property. We're not in a commercial plaza, so there's not other businesses happening. So people aren't just frequently seeing us and thinking, oh yeah, that place, let me go there this weekend with my family. So for us, because we're hidden, that's what makes us unique, right? That's what people love booking us for parties. We're like almost a century-old house, so people love just coming to the property. It's a big-ass house compared to everything else nearby, right? Especially for its age. So that's why we're able to host so many people. So it was only natural that over time I started to realize, oh, this place isn't for dining. Like, you can dine in, don't get me wrong, we're open for that. But this place isn't necessarily for natural foot traffic, it's for private events. Because I have a huge open parking spot, I have beautiful open space indoors to accommodate, but people can't see me. But when it comes to private events, these are things people book out in advance. These are things people send out invitation cards like, hey, in 2 months from now or a year from now, we're having our reception or engagement or whatever have you. So these things are pre-planned. And especially with Google Maps these days, as long as you have the address, you'll find us, right? And then when people do show up, I've had people say like, oh my God, this is gorgeous. Oh my God, I love the patio. Oh my God, I love the building. Oh, the landscaping is beautiful. You know, they walk in, they go, wow, I feel like I'm in a resort. I don't even feel like I'm in Brampton right now. It's like, yeah, it's because you're basically not. You're really not, because it's so unique from everything else. Once you're here, you're like, oh my God, like, I never thought Brampton could have something like this, right?
Yeah.
So over time, I realized, okay, like dining can be good. Don't get me wrong. Like Christmas was good, Valentine's Day was good, Mother's Day was good, but naturally, all the other days are not good, right? That's not enough to sustain me. So then it just became, okay, I need to put my head forward and I just focus on events and parties. And so after like 2 or 3 failed marketing teams who couldn't deliver what they promised, another buddy of mine who does marketing for kickboxing gyms, he found you guys online and recommended me. He said, hey, listen, these guys pretty much do all the same stuff I do, but you know, their niche and their expertise or specialties is restaurants and catering private events. Try them, since I know that's what you're trying to grow. And I was like, all right. And I was really down in the slumps at that time, and I was like, all right, let's try these guys too. Who knows? We'll see what happens. And you know, a month goes by after I talk to you guys, and you know, these things take time. That's the thing I learned. Like the other guys, they all started immediately, but it didn't really go anywhere because they weren't really focused. But you guys, you took a month before you actually implemented and started running ads. But as soon as you did, like I started seeing the results immediately. And now it's been 2 months working with you, a month since you started the ads, and already my calendar for October is like half booked. November is like a quarter booked. And it's like, whoa, this wasn't like this 2 months prior. 2 months prior, it was literally, oh God, my calendar's empty. Please pray to all the booking gods and like get my calendar filled up. Right?
The booking gods.
Yeah. Dude, I swear to God, it's like working paycheck to paycheck, except like you got staff relying on you, you got the landlord waiting for rent, you know, and I'm just panicking like, yo, our food's great, the building's great, we do everything we can to keep it clean, we do everything we can to keep it beautiful, but there's no customers. Like, people don't know us, right? Every new customer that comes in is telling me the same thing. I didn't know you exist. I didn't know you exist. I didn't know you exist. I'm like, how the hell do I get my name out there, right? Because we're hidden. Again, we don't have a big sign that just says Heritage India like your typical commercial restaurant does, right? We have a small sign. It's an old building, and that's all we have. But once people are here and they know us, they love us.
That's awesome, man. And I think also, like, and I really appreciate that in terms of what you mentioned. But I think that to some degree, people always forget that they are the ones that had to take the first step, right? And I think, like you said, you tried multiple marketing agencies, and I kind of want to touch on this as well. You were telling me the way that you're talking about your own venue is the fact that you almost were saying it in a way that you knew that you could definitely do events here, and that, you know, like you said, the patio, the rooms, the old building. One of the things that I hear from restaurant owners in general all the time is like, I'm doing radio ads, kind of like how we were talking about this the other day. I'm doing radio ads. I'm trying to do general dine-ins. I'm trying to, increase awareness. I'm trying to increase Google reviews, everything else. But then there's always this one thing, like, and the reason I'm bringing this up specifically for you, because you're talking about your venue. You know, we have this patio, we have a good space. We know that our food's great. What was it that was like, okay, everything that we're doing is not aligned to what this venue should be doing? Was this like something where you always knew private events was the main thing? Or was it like after trying all of these things, still being in kind of like this limbo about whether or not this was the right way?
I always knew.
Yeah.
I always knew that private events was the way to go, right? Because even in the beginning when I took it over, even Alaska was doing private events. But again, it's like up until you guys, or up until 2 months ago, I didn't or couldn't find the correct marketing avenue to get that message across, right? Because radio was cool and all, but the conversion rate was garbage. Same with TV, right? People see you if they see you. Doesn't mean they call you, right? Like the cool thing about like Meta and Facebook is like these things are genuinely targeted advertisements, right? Like I had one client that legit told me that she was in bed with her husband discussing her mom's birthday party, and sure enough, the next day, because the phones are listening to you guys, she gets the ad on Instagram of me talking about like, hey, if you want a private dining hall, call us. So she sees it, she loves the ad, but fills in the forum, and then I get her phone number, I call her, and she goes, oh my god, I love the way you spoke, the tone, the ad was great. I came here, the food was fantastic, the building's beautiful. I wish I knew you sooner. I would have done my party, or would have done that previous party with you guys as well. But anyways, like that's what matters, right? It's actually hitting the people that are looking for you. Like just shooting in the dark doesn't really matter, unless like you have the cash flow and you're just trying to brand yourself just to remind people. That's great. But I'd say if you're starting up, when you're still specializing and you're not really, you don't have the cash flow to just spend money on advertising in hopes that it works or just to remind people, you need to specialize, you need to target, which is based on your proposal and my friend's analysis. I was like, okay, this seems like the right path because clearly everything else before that wasn't working. For the same amount of money, like my conversion rate was like 1% versus with you guys, it's like what, 10-15%? I mean, I think you know better than me what our conversion rate is, but it's definitely higher with the targeted advertisement, right?
Sure. Makes sense. Makes sense. I mean, look, I'm gonna kind of put myself under the fire here, and this is just because I genuinely want to understand like what your thought process was as well. And I wanted to ask at first, and I'm sure this is with anyone, especially restaurateurs, what were your thoughts going through the process itself about like speaking to us? Was it like what was it that I would say doubts and fears that you had before wanting to pull the trigger? Because I'm sure you probably did to some degree.
Yeah, because remember, and I said this before to you, is that he actually introduced me to you guys back in early June, but I didn't contact you till the end of July, so pretty much 2 months had gone by. And the reason being is because I did an influencer event, and I'm like, well, yeah, things are going well, but they only went also like a month and a half. Yeah. So then, it was a month and a half, things are going well, and okay, we're in the up, we're going up. And then all of a sudden, like a dead stop in dining, takeout, boom, mid-July, what the hell happened? So I'm like, a week and a half of this goes by, and I go, we can't survive like this, we cannot survive like this. So then I hit up Prep Jot, I'm telling him, listen, man, I'm f***ing stressed out again, like, I'm just in panic mode, right? We need to figure out what the hell to do to make this business survive, He was like, did you hit those guys up yet? I was like, no. He says, call them. And I said, okay. So I call you guys. You send me that short Loom video of this girl explaining how you're going to help us. And I was, okay, everything makes sense. And it makes a lot more sense than everybody else that I worked with in the past. I really was just like a leap of faith. It was, let me just take a shot. Like, okay, let's just see what happens. Because at this point I was like, because the cost was high too. You guys generally costed like 3 times the price, at least for the initial startup, than everybody else. So I'm like, if it costs that much, and their proposal and their system of how they can do stuff actually makes sense. I'm like, okay, for as far as I could tell at the time, I'm like, this seems like it has to work. I know it's going to take time too. It's not going to work like instantly, like, as soon as I sign. I know these things take time, but I was like, okay, this actually seems like we're on the right track. And then going forward, like the actual follow-up calls and reassuring me, okay, this is the next step. This is what we're working on in the background. This is how it's going to help you in the future. And then seeing the actual results once we started launching the ads, I was like, oh man, these guys got it. Like, these guys are on point. They know what they're doing, right? I'm actually seeing results. Like, now it's just a matter of, like, how do I put more money in and more time and resource into these methods that are actually growing my business, right? Versus before, we were just making trendy TikTok videos and whatnot. And yeah, they got views, okay, great, but doesn't mean anybody was calling us, right? Like, having like one legit script, which for God's sakes, you won't believe me. Every other marketing team I had, I'm like, yo, guys, come up with a script. Like, you know what my business is now. They come up with a script. Nobody would come up with one. You guys, first things first, script, done. Harvey, film. I filmed. You said this is garbage. Do it again. I said, oh, okay, cool. So I did it again.
I remember that. I think you bring that. I remember that.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, cool. I like it, because everybody else was like, this is doing seriously. Every other guy was like, okay, first filming. How was it? Oh, that was great. Are you sure? Yeah, I know, that was perfect. Okay, cool. And then boom, they just edited and posted it. But you guys were like, no, that was garbage. Do it again. And sure enough, I'm like, I appreciated that. I appreciate that you guys actually were like, no, we're not posting this. It's not worth it. Do it properly. Wear a suit. A beautiful building. Like, actually take multiple shots throughout the building.
Yeah.
And so we did that, and it made a massive difference, right? And then once we launched it, like, it actually worked. Like, it genuinely worked.
Yeah.
You know? And it wasn't just always making a new video, 4 videos a week. Like, that doesn't mean anything, right? Having one good video and just punching that into the meta and putting my ad money behind that over time is where you see the real results.
A pat on the back to yourself, because, like, I mean, for us, we could have been like, no, this is, we think we need a better version of this. You'd be like, guys, no, like, this is completely fine. Just do what I have, right? And I think it, like, you have to help yourself to some degree. And then after that, you came up with a banger video and then another one. And so you kind of went on this thing that's like, my venue is actually insane, right? We have done great events before. People just need to realize that, and I have to project that. And so I thought that was great. I don't want to keep this too long. I just want to go through like one or two last questions. But one thing that you said was like, you had that kind of like period that was like this, and then it was just like a slump during like the July area. And it's not easy when you're already in a position like that to decide, okay, I'm going to take out money and try something else again, right? These guys that I have, like, obviously, like, someone's mentioned them to me, but they've never used them. They have some testimonials online, they have some videos online, but, I have these doubts and fears. Like, what was the reason that you said yes anyways after all of those things?
Oh, man. Honestly, it was just the proposal. Like, you guys just had a really good proposal, because for me, I'm like, yo, everything's online. You guys are in UK. Like, I can't even actually meet you guys. And then 2, I'm like, yo, for sakes, I'm dishing out everything on credit card. Like, I don't have cash for this. I'm literally using credit. And for me, it's a Hail Mary. So it was between the proposal, the follow-up call, the offer, and then my friend's support of saying, like, yo, they have a great offer. You gotta trust them. Like, I'm serious. Like, hands down to PJ. Like, he really pushed me to take a risk with you guys too. Right? Yeah. I don't think because he was the one who background checked you guys and was like, okay, no, I see, because he knows more about this stuff than I do, the marketing stuff. And so having him legitify you and say, no, these guys know what they're doing, just trust them. I was like, okay, I have to. But then again, also your offer too. Like, if your offer was bad, I would have been like, no, not worth the money. I'm not doing it. But the offer was good. And then just having that, like, backup from the friend, and it was like, yeah, let's just do it. Just do it. It was worth it. And now I can honestly say, after 2 months, it's definitely worth it. Definitely. And I'm excited to see what else was up against the horizon, right? Because I know there's more to come. We're only started, right? I wish I started with you guys back in the beginning last November, but whatever. Like I said, you live, you learn, right? You fall down, you get back up.
Absolutely. Now that you've decided to take that step, we're able to take that step with you. And I think that's going to be super, super exciting. And then last question to wrap up here. I know that was your reason you said yes, but what would you tell someone who's watching this right now and isn't sure about taking that step?
I would say, look, if you're not seeing the results you're looking for in terms of leads, like, these guys will take care of that for you. Like, they'll help, like, consult your business with you. And again, we're talking specifically about restaurants and catering, right?
Yes.
This is not a generic agency marketing. It's like specifically for restaurants, parties, and catering. It's like, yes, they will take your business seriously. They will help work with you to improve your proposition for your clients, right? So make sure you're giving the best deal possible, and then make sure that you're providing the best ad possible. And then just being punctual, being on time, always updating each other. Like, you're going to see the results, right? You're going to get the leads, And then also having people to hold you accountable for actually calling those leads. Because like, yo, the agency can bring you like 100 phone calls, or phone numbers, but if you don't call them, that doesn't mean anything. Like there were multiple weeks where Gervier had to remind me like, hey, go through the leads, go through the leads, go through the leads. I see you haven't gone through the leads. Why haven't you gone through the leads? And it's like, yeah. Because you get caught up with the rest of the business, but it's like you have to remember, this is what, keeping the business alive, is the future business. So it can't just be like, oh, I have business today, focus on today. It's like, no. You have business today. You have to be worried about future business, because otherwise in the future, you're going to fall flat, especially with catering and events, right? You're going to fall flat if you don't stay on top of it. So having a team that keeps you accountable is very important too, right? Because they could easily just say, give me money, I post ad, I punch ad, and the rest is on you. But no, they actually like keep you accountable to make sure you're actually following through with every customer. And again, you're not going to close every customer, that's fine. But making sure that, like you said in the proposal or in the Loom video, is that it's not just about in getting you as many leads as possible, but it's also teaching you and training you to be a good salesman to actually close more leads, right? Closing 10 out of 100 leads is better than 10 out of 1,000, right? Yeah. Which is very true. Very true. That was the whole vertical scaling thing. And I was like, that makes so much sense. Like maybe I'm just not a good enough salesperson, or my proposition isn't good enough. That's why I'm not closing as many clients as I should be, which actually that's my fault, right? So I have to change too. Otherwise the business doesn't grow.
Absolutely. I think the other discussion that we're going to have after we jump off this call and in general is about saying now with Q3 and with more leads, how we can take that off your place and replace the phone calls with Certus there, for sure.
I know. I'm excited for that. I was like, let's just like really wait and milk it so that the AI has as much data as possible, right? Because I'm growing too, so
we've got so many phone calls to go off of now, bro. It's going to be so good. Yeah.
Me, Vivek, there's so much to work off of. I'm excited. 100%. I'm excited. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate that a lot, Harveer, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how Q3 goes. And you've put your word out there about the upcoming horizon, and maybe in December we can revisit this and laugh at the numbers we were doing now.
Yeah. And then I go to AI update this time too, right? That'll be fun.
Exactly.
Because I'm excited to see, man.
Yeah. 100%. All right. Love it, man. Appreciate it. Thanks you very much.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.